Guess what?
What?
We're live. Oh my God. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Be the Boss of Your Money. I like to keep these 20 minutes tops, so we're going to go through this pretty quickly. What I want to do here, my goal is always to bring you valuable financial information to make us all better at personal finance. And speaking of personal finance, I'm going to say a guru of personal finance, Rhonda Kilch. Did I say that right? Okay, all right, we got that right. And Rhonda runs a foundation. She's the executive director of Equity First Foundation. They are about teaching financial literacy. And if you know anything about the state of finances in this country, the state of personal finance is pretty poor. And we all can use some more education. So I wanted to bring in someone who is a very valuable resource, who does this literally on a full-time basis. Although Rhonda does many other things besides this, she just makes it look easy. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in Rhonda. Rhonda, how are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Thank you. So we have like 400 connections on LinkedIn, and we've never met before. So we finally met. We have a lot of mutual friends. So it's a pleasure to meet you. And can you tell me a little bit about Equity First Financial? I know there's a lot to tell. So what should we know?
Sure. So I founded the Equity First Foundation in 2015. It started off as a passion project because I was able to identify that there were resources and information that was just not getting out, more specifically to our Long Island-based community. And as somebody who is a forward thinker, and I will say a little aggressive, you could either sit back and do nothing, or you can take action and be a voice for those people that don't have one. So I chose to be the voice.
Okay.
We all know I'm not shy. And I was looking to put together just a unique, very creative organization that delivers just really current information that is easily understood and digestible for all stages, all ages, and all abilities of our Long Island community.
All right. So my view as a financial advisor, and when I met you and Stephen together, we were at a business function, and it was I thought it was a financial planning association. It was a Long Island Business News event.
Business News event.
I think I recall. It's when my friends Frank Maurizio was a speaker,
maybe
an MC, and my friend Mark Badami had gotten an award that night.
I know Mark from Fight for Charity.
Okay, so we're going to get to that because it's like you keep telling me these things that you do, and I'm like, how do you do all these things? Okay,
it's my normal.
It's your normal.
One speed, full out. So we met when I got your card, Equity First Financial literacy. I'm like, I write about financial literacy. I speak in front of groups about that. So I was like, well, I've got to talk to you. And I chased you down until you would be my friend. Okay. And your husband's probably, okay, we're friends now. Okay. No, so anyway, so how did you actually get the idea? Because 2015 wasn't that long ago. No.
And you decided to do this at like the busiest time of your life, basically. You know, when we're in like our 40s, I would say that is just the craziest time.
Yeah. You know, most people, the big joke is everything changes at 40. You know, I put on a few pounds at 40, there were a variety of things, but for me, it was all about creating goals and setting up, you know, what the next, 5 years look like. So for me, I'm very goal driven. And when I went to create the organization, I put everything together in 5-year plans. So
I love the idea that you picked this one. So you have a passion for financial literacy.
Correct.
And, not everybody has that passion. People have a passion to spend, to buy, to live in the moment, materialism. We live in a very expensive region. Not that anywhere is really cheap, because if you live in an area that is cheaper to live, your income is probably lower as well.
Sure, it's relevant.
So there's a big retirement worry in this country,
correct,
a big pension worry in this country.
Correct.
So you're in financial literacy. I just feel like everybody could benefit from you, all 300 million of us.
And, as an organization, we are broken up into different categories of professionals that work within our organization. I may be the visionary, but I am not necessarily the educator and the speaker on every topic. So when we are dealing with a group of seniors, we'll bring in senior specialists to talk, on that behalf. But there's a variety of information that is just not getting out there, and resources that people are not aware even exist to, seniors, veterans, school districts, children that, people that are graduating from college, even having an understanding of how their student loan debt works. They just don't know.
Well, they give student loans to these kids who are in high school. They tempt them with the lifestyle and the fun and going away in the college, and they say the degree, you're going to make so much more money. And then these kids come out of college with a massive amount of debt, and they don't really understand it. A lot of them have second thoughts, buyer's remorse, regret, whatever you want to call it. Sure. And it's like a noose around their neck. It just chases them, follows them.
We do a lot of work on Long Island in the school districts, and we do a variety of different programs.
I noticed that on your website. What is your equity? What's your website?
www.equityfirstfoundation.org.
Okay, equityfirstfoundation.org.
Yes.
Just to make sure I get that out there, because people look at it,
And when we're in the schools, we talk a lot with guidance counselors and social workers, and we talk about the needs and the assessment.
Let's try to get in the middle of, we're getting the screen a little bit here. Okay, here we go.
Of what's happening in that particular district. And
I have a screen right over here, by the way.
You do?
Yeah, so I'm just letting the audience know that we could see ourselves over here on the screen.
I see me over here.
Okay, yeah, okay.
And a lot of times when we're talking, the schools are pushing for kids to go away. And what they're not doing is really talking about the trades and the opportunities and the finance piece. And so when we come in and do programs, we just did one 2 weeks ago at Bridgehampton for the high school. And our big strategy is we come in and we don't just talk about careers, we talk about the investment into that career. So if somebody wants to be a real estate professional, they may need no college and they could make X amount of dollars. But you might want to be a social worker and you might need an MBA that might have cost you $200,000, but the starting salary for a social worker on Long Island might be $42,000.
Yeah, it's not particularly high. It's hard to get that return on investment.
So we try to educate the high school students before going away, and we do programs as well, not just with the students, but also with their parents, so that we could teach them how to actually have the conversations around making good financial choices and balancing it.
Now, it's not a required class.
No.
Personal finance. It's math, science, etc. But personal finance is something that you have to live with your entire life, and people are basically left to figure it out on their own. And based on the state of personal finance in this country, so I hate to say it, but the role models aren't exactly that great for the kids today.
We talk to a lot of students, and even older, say older, but people my age, and they'll say, I really just didn't have a good base. I didn't grow up in a household where money and budgeting was something that was discussed. People are generally not being taught about making good
money. Maybe
decisions.
It's like a taboo subject. It's like we don't talk about it. So okay, so I just want to adjust the camera a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break a little bit just to see if we have anybody out here with any questions. Sometimes we do, and sometimes we don't. Okay, but there are a few peeps out there, so let's take a look. Frank Maurizio is out there, and if you haven't met Frank, he's a terrific friend, and he's terrific with this stuff. Peter Hirschhorn. Hey, Peter, how are you, buddy? Peter has a question. Father Frank says hi to you as well.
Hello there.
Okay, so Mitch, would Rhonda ever offer a series of classes to help educate the teenage market so they can get a good understanding of how to control and maintain their finances starting at a young age? That's like exactly
and that's
your
exactly
mission.
what we do. So to answer your question, we currently work. We work with the school districts right here on Long Island right now to provide exactly those opportunities. You can get in touch with Mitch offline and we can talk about if you are in a particular district that you would like to see us do a program. That's number one. And then number two, we also do a lot of community-based programs. So even if it's outside of the school, sometimes we'll go into temples and churches, community centers, family and adolescent services, and we'll do smaller groups, usually 15 to 25 people at a time. And they give us a very specific need. And then we come in and we educate on that topic.
That's a great idea because all the churches and temples are trying to keep their memberships going.
We're a value add.
Yeah, you're a value add to keep the education and the content. It's all about content, right? To keep the content coming in. Now, are you the expert in all of these things, or do you bring in? You said you bring in the specialists to come in and talk to people? Sure.
So it would be wrong to say that I am a specialist in every area. I have a very diverse background in finance and business. So through those relationships, I've found speakers that work, with our organization. But again, what's important is that you're bringing in the appropriate speaker for the appropriate group. So it would be wrong to bring somebody in who is not educated on a very specific topic.
Right. So if we're talking about Medicare, Medicaid, retiring, you're not bringing in a specialist to talk about 529 plans, obviously. So
correct. It has to be related to the topic.
Where do you find the specialists, and how would somebody who's interested in doing that sort of thing, how would you find
to reach out?
Yeah, how do they reach out to you? Do you reach out to them? How does that work?
So it's a combination of social media is one. Once a month, we do an event. We just had one last night called the Inner Circle. So once a month, we actually produce a networking event. I hate to say it that way, but a networking event where we have.
What's wrong with a networking event? I mean, that's how you meet people, networking.
Yeah, and that's essentially it. So we have once a month the Inner Circle.
I met my wife networking.
There you go.
In college.
See how that worked?
At a bar.
Even better.
I mean, we didn't call it networking, but we'll just call it college networking. It was great.
You were cocktailing.
Yes.
So we do these events, and we do them at different times. So sometimes it's the morning, sometimes it's at night in different locations on Long Island, and we bring out different professionals. And at that time, we do our little presentation about who we are. And if they're interested in getting on board, there's a packet that they fill out, a get involved packet that lets us know a little bit about who they are. The worst thing is there are people who think that they are a good speaker and they're not, right? I'm sure we've all sat through dreadful seminars. So we look for their entertainment factor, where they've spoken before, what their background is, how long they've been practicing in their field of
right. You want to make sure they have not just the knowledge, the experience, but experience as educators, public speakers.
Sure.
I mean, we're not looking for the greatest entertainers in the world, but that would be a nice plus. But people who could get their point across and make the time worthwhile for the people who attended.
Sure. There's nothing worse than a failed delivery, because that's a reflection on us. So we do the best we can to match the appropriate people to the areas that we're working.
I personally would love to get what you do in my children's school district.
What district are you in?
Half Hollow Hills.
There you go.
Okay.
We'll set it up.
I would love to do that. I'm just going to take a quick look here at anybody's out there in Facebook world. Okay. And if I only really remembered how to do this in Facebook world, it would make it a lot easier.
I am really good in business and finance and really poor at anything related to technology. I could use my phone. I could get onto my computer.
We've got a couple people watching out there, which is really terrific. You could see us live over here. So this is why I break to look at this stuff, because what happens when you do a LinkedIn Live, when you're the host, you're controlling everything, and you wind up having your head down looking at your screen the entire time. And then I wind up doing what I tell my kids not to do. I say, stop looking at your screen when I'm talking to you, please. Okay. So there are a few people out there. A couple of other things. Okay. So you are a mom, you have a family.
I do.
How many kids do you have?
I have 5 boys.
Five boys.
5 boys.
I mean, it's
my normal.
5. What are they like? How old is the youngest?
Sure. So they range because this just only gets funnier. So they are 11, 12, 13, 21 and 23.
Okay, that's just
We just wanted to get those babies out of the way and keep them all in diapers at the same time.
Wonderful. That's right. You talk about, you have this foundation.
Yep.
And there's more to you than this. I know there's a lot to you. So just real quick, what was it like being in the fight for charity? You actually got in the ring, you put on the gloves.
Yeah, we were talking about that before.
And you were just basically trying to bash somebody's face in the business community.
So it's not really like that, but obviously you don't want to get hurt. So I did the fight for charity several years ago. I was approached, and I knew Bill Corbett and Matt Silver and Jeff Cohen.
Sure. And
so it was, they approached me, and at the time, I think if you don't ever test yourself, you never grow as a person. Yep. So as much as I'm not a fighter, for those that know me, I don't even like to go to the gym. It was a challenge for me to put on my goal. And once I committed, I was all in. I ended up having an amazing experience. I've
never met a person who did this. This has been going on for like 15 years.
I think this year that just passed was maybe their 16th
year, and they have about 20 or 30 boxers a year.
Yeah.
So, and I've never met anybody, and I've been going to this event for a long time. It's the best event. And I've never met anybody who regretted getting in the ring.
It's a very anxiety-driven, intimidating experience, because it doesn't matter how much you train and how much your opponent trains. You're still out there representing your organization, your business community, and nobody ever wants to look like they've failed. I've met the person that I fought. Her name is Jessica Galone, and to this day we are still friends, and we still get together every now and again. And she's a wonderful, wonderful person that you create these little families. And I think without having these experiences, you wouldn't be part of those opportunities.
Well, these experiences, they make your life
richer.
Some
water?
Yeah, they make your life richer. Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty of it. And that is networking. That comes from networking.
And you know what? It was a really cool experience. And, people recognized me from that experience. And, I won't say it didn't hurt my business. It definitely helped my business, and it helped shape who I am in the professional industry, because people know that I'll go out on a limb to make sure that I do the right thing. It's part of your character.
Let me just check the time here. Okay, so we've got a little bit of time left. Let me ask you about your professional career, because you're a real estate investor.
That's where I make my money. There's no money in not-for-profit.
Yeah.
Let me just put it out there. So I make my money. So I've been doing real estate investing for the last 23 years. I've had great success in doing real estate investing.
Congratulations.
Thank you. My background, though, is I have another company, Equity First, and we do consulting. And from the consulting that I did, we specialized in working with consumers that have experienced some sort of a financial hardship. Somebody that maybe is taking care of an elderly parent, a sick child. They got injured at work, and now they're living on workers' comp. So these are all upsets that are not expected. So my consulting company specializes in working with consumers that have all of these deficits, and we help walk them through till they have success. That's how I actually created the foundation. Once I realized that I wanted to do the foundation as a project, I closed the doors, per se, not literally, but shut down the consulting to really focus on growing the not-for-profit. And I dove back into real estate investing, because it's not full time, but it can give you very substantial financial reward.
And you know what? Mm-hmm. You are entitled to make a nice living. Sure. You're entitled. You don't have to just do the foundation. So good for you.
But it was utilizing my expertise and utilizing the knowledge that I have from investing in real estate allowed me the freedom of scaling back on the consulting so that I could focus on a passion project, which was opening the foundation.
That's terrific. So you're back into the consulting now, and everybody
foundation is now sustainable. Thank God, is now sustainable, and I'll be going back into doing not a lot, but just a little bit of private client work and a little bit of corporate work.
So, the Haven House.
Yeah. Oh, you did some research on me.
I mean, you're my guest. I'm going to look you up. I'm
me.
going to do some research on you. So, the Haven House sounds like a very special thing. So, what's the deal?
All right. So, a few years ago, my mother unfortunately had passed away, and I think that a lot of who I am as a person and a lot of the philanthropy that I believe in was, was from her, right? There's times where I'll say, I am
Let's lean in a little bit. Sure.
I am my mother's child. And when she passed away, I took inheritance money and I purchased a retreat house upstate New York, and I called it the Haven.
What a wonderful tribute to your mother.
And what we do now is we work with a variety of charity partners on Long Island, and we send families away on retreat that need to have some respite time. And then when they're not there, we go, right? So I won't say I don't utilize the, the facility.
You're almost like the Airbnb for not-for-profits.
Yes. You could say that. You could say that. We do rent it when there's nobody there, and that's how that home becomes sustainable. So if we have some rentals, it takes care of the taxes and the insurance and utilities.
Not cheap to do this.
No, it's not. And throughout the course of the year, we give away probably about a good 15 weeks out of the year where people can go. And
that's a lot.
It is a lot, but I love when somebody has a great experience at the house because we put so much into it. My mom's name?
Yeah.
Cheryl.
That's an amazing tribute to Cheryl. Just felt like we should put her
talk
name
about
out there too, because it's a great job, Cheryl.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing.
Every time I have good fortune, I always say she's looking over me and protecting my family. And when there's times in doubt, like we all have, whether it be a personal experience or a business experience, we always want to know that there's triumph on the other side. And so, I pray to the God of my mother that, when things aren't good or I'm confused, that, she helps me through.
Wow, that's terrific. You are so lucky to have had such a wonderful mother.
Yeah.
I would like to thank you for being my guest.
And I would like to thank you for having me.
This is great. So equityfirstfoundation.org. Just, actually, I'm going to ask you this. If somebody in another part of the country wants to do what you do,
sure.
Can they call you? Is there a template to do this?
There are resources that we can share, without a doubt. We also have train the trainer programs. So if there is even an organization that can't necessarily bring us on board, but they want to implement financial literacy into their current curriculum, we have a variety of pre-approved curriculum for preschool all the way through college.
That is so great. Thanks so much.
You got it.
Okay,
thank you.
We are going to sign off. Maybe there's somebody else out there that had a question or a comment, and we'll just take a quick look before we go. Okay. Peter, we just answered the question. Thank you. Do you offer a class outside of the high school environment if the school doesn't offer any classes?
We can set them up privately.
We can set it up privately. So maybe get a couple of parents, the Little League team or whatever, get everybody together.
They could also get me in contact with somebody who might run the PTA. And sometimes we could do them through the PTA.
That is a terrific idea. All right. So we're hitting the 23-minute going to end this broadcast by doing this. Let's wave to everybody. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And we'll see you soon.